Hello, World of Tank Blitzers. It's Littlefinger. Happy Friday, February 21st. And yes, I'm going to do a store review here in a second. But I just did want to point out, I have not been paying a whole lot of attention to the game lately. Just jumping in, playing my games, getting some missions done. I didn't even realize that there's two new light German tanks in the tech tree until just yesterday. But I do want to talk real quick about this Season 6 tank, the Destiny. You've seen it out there a lot. It's got some really interesting armor profiles to it. Typically, when you come into this event, I believe you're just coming along here and purchasing the equipment, and they've changed that. And I made a mistake here and spent 1,000 of these boxes on this Tier 3. I would not recommend using this route to upgrade your tank because there's just too many. If you go to the tank itself and go to upgrades, you can upgrade them directly here. It's going to save you a lot of boxes. So sorry I didn't point that out earlier. Also, I do want to mention here that there is a new Clandestine Lab. We've seen this type of event before where you can cash in your available resources. But the reason I pay a little bit more attention to this one, for me anyway, is because there's two new tanks in here that I do not own. You've got the TVP 100, it's going to be a Tier 8 tank destroyer, and then the Tier 9 BZ74. So in order to get the TVP 100 here, you're basically just going to cash in or get them in games in order to get 15,000 of these reagent bottles here. Now, in order to get the BZ, you're going to have to basically open up these containers, and inside of these containers, pretty much you're guaranteed to get one card, legendary card charm here, right? Or if there's a 2% chance of getting two in the box, it's about a 7.5% chance of getting some gold out of this stuff. The rest is just parts of certificates for the most part. But that means you're going to have to open essentially 100 of those containers, making the 65,000 of these reagents that you're going to need. So that's quite a bit. And I was just curious, so I have created a spreadsheet here to use for this purpose. And I've put this, a link to this spreadsheet on my my Discord server, so you can go find that there. I'm not sure why it's not pulling up right now. But anyway, basically, to make this work, come in here and fill out this column B based upon what you have in the available funds resources here. This is the cost in which you convert it in the game. And so, like, for example, I have 93 cooldown boosters. I'm going to have to cash in 10 of them just to get 15 reagents. But based upon my 93, I can use 9 of those. And if I were to use all 9 of those, it would equate to 135. And so after you've done that, you can come in here and say, you know, what's the least thing that I could give up, I'm not worried about? Well, I've got 71 days of premium time in certificates. And if you look at this, you're cashing in 5 to get 550. So that's 110 a day. So we multiply that by 30 days. That's 3,300. Whereas if you cash in 30 days of premium time, you're only getting 2,250. So I would not recommend cashing in your premium time here. But if you do have some of these certificates, it's probably a good way to get those. So let's just say I wanted to use 30 of those, 100 of those, and 70 of those. That's going to put me at 61,000. So I'm still a little bit short for the BZ, and definitely still short. I mean, I could get the SH by itself. But so this way you can come in and say, all right, I've got 291 million in silver. Each one is going to be 500,000 silver. So if I do 20, that is going to be 10 million in silver I'm using. I am going to have 281 silver remaining, but I'm only getting 1,000 of those reagents. So maybe I need to jump that up to there. And you can see what happens after you start giving your resources up. So an interesting way there for you guys to track it. All right. So back to the store. And let's see what is going on in store here. You've seen this linked bundles. Always the first one is free, so you can go ahead and cash that in. I look at these just to see if it's worth it. I don't think this one is worth it. Typically, there would be some gold here that you're spending some gold, getting some gold, and some boxes. This one just does not look good, in my opinion. Source of plenty here. I only wanted to point this out because each one of these looks like it's only giving you 300 gold per dollar, which, as we know, is not good for the store, but you are getting some crates there. So I'd kind of try to stay away from these. I don't think they are great. Along with, that pretty much goes for all of the containers. The grand surprise I'll talk about, this one is usually pretty good. As you can see, if you click up here, you can see how much. So I've already done 4 of those. Starts getting higher and higher and higher, and I think your point of return is diminished. So I'd only go a few rounds into this, but keep in mind the customization container is pretty high there at 20%, as is the kaleidoscope, which are obviously the least valuable items here. So basically, I keep an eye on these. These do change, obviously, as you start pulling other things off the board there. But basically, I looked at it. I think I was at 73.5 in gold, and I decided I'm willing to go down to 72,000. And I pulled a box with 1,000 gold in it, brought myself up over 74,000. I said, I'm done. That was a win for today. So the other one that's always good is the subscription. And that was when they had just gold. They usually had like a 30-day subscription. You'd getting close to 750 to 1,000 gold per day. Keep in mind with these subscriptions, you do have to log in every day to claim it. So it's kind of nice that they put the 2,500 because you're definitely going to claim that on the first day. But just remember, it's very important to come back and get the rest. Now, if you look at this, it's working out, I believe, to be about $500 gold per dollar. Plus, you're going to get all of these containers. There's a good chance of getting some gold. So this is a mediocre deal. If you want to go ahead and take a risk on this, you might get lucky in some of those containers. Pull a tank or pull a high number of gold. I believe I can talk about all of the tanks in the tank section. So I'm just going to scroll on down out of this area. Individual offers, nothing there to talk about. So yeah, let's jump into the tank section here. A tank I don't own, SMV, Vipera here. So I really can't talk about this bundle here. I was hoping that they would sell each of these individually. The Centurion, obviously that British play style with its accurate, fast-firing gun, means that you have to be kind of exposed on target. You can't hide and then kind of pop out and take a big shot. But it's got good mobility. It does have some good armor, decent armor, not great. And I kind of like this for the price of what you're getting with the camos. I believe if you switch on over, this gets a little bit more expensive, but you are getting almost 5,000 boxes, which would take almost 5 of those upgrades off of the Destiny tank or whatever it's called. The E6 here, this is one of my go-to heavy tanks to play for fun. I'm not a big heavy tank player, but this tank has the mobility. It has, let's see here, 3,000 damage per minute, which is pretty nice for tier 10 heavy tank. And there you can see your 400 average damage, 515 with HE. And then it's got that 10 degrees of gun depression, 50 kilometers per hour is the top speed for a heavy tank. And the armor profile is a little bit troll. This hatch is kind of hard to hit at times. So it is kind of a fun tank to play. I've been playing it a lot in the game modes too, to get some cash. But, by itself, 17.5, it's hard for me to, recommend spending 20,000 gold on it, but it is what it is. I don't think the T22 is worth $35. Let me just see here. $36 multiplied by 650. That's 23,000 gold for that tank. Yeah, I just think that's a little bit too expensive. But you guys know the history on this tank. It's got this sloped armor that you can see coming through here, and spaced armor on the side. So if the shell manages to go through the spaced armor there. It's then got a pen that's highly ankled. So it does get a lot of bounces for a medium tank. I think it just plays a little slow for my liking. And I do struggle with pen on it from time to time. Two interesting tanks here. We've got the FE 10006 light tank. Kind of gets around real nice. I've enjoyed playing this tank if you like light tanks with good mobility here. 10 degrees of gun depression, really nice. And 69 kilometers per hour there as your top speed. So kind of a fun tank. And you've got that light tank mechanic and good view range. Very versatile tank here. And then the ST62, I've only played a handful of games in this, but it feels a little bit more on the sluggish medium side with this nice armor to it. I think, let me just check the gun depression. Yeah, it's only 6 degrees on it. Makes it a little bit challenging. But for 14.5, you're just over 7,000 per tank, which is actually pretty good for a tier 8. And these are two serviceable. I don't think you'd be disappointed with either of those tanks. And you can see 8,500 each for them if you only want to buy one or the other. Seasoned warriors here. We've got two tier 7s. We've got the American T26E3. It's a medium tank. Again, I would say everything decent, nothing super great on this tank. You're going to have good mobility, good gun depression, decent accuracy on it. We got that 10 degrees of gun depression, 42 for the speed on a medium tank there. And then the M6 is, it's tier 7. And once you start showing the side of this tank, it gets pretty weak. But frontally, these side cheeks are. So just wiggle it back and forth, make it a little harder to hit that area. And this plate here. So it's a fun tank. But again, we're at tier 7 for, a price of one tier 8 tank. So take that for what it is. If you want a couple tanks with different play styles, I like that idea. Let's see, brute force here. 15.5, so just over 7,000 again. You've got the T7 120 at tier 9. This is a small profile tank for a heavy. And I just haven't found exactly how to play this tank great yet. I would say think of this as an M103. But just much, much smaller. You're going to have a lot of, I think the gun is the same, so you're going to have a lot of those same characteristics, and it may be just a touch faster. I'm not exactly sure. But again, I find it a little bit difficult because you're a lower profile heavy tank, which is kind of unique. And then, of course, the Shark, which goes into my must-own category. So if you don't own this might be a good little pickup for you. But at 10,000 there for the tier 9, I mean, that's the going rate for a tier 9 now, and it's not a horrible tank. And then finally, 24, my 650 equates to 17,000. No, you are getting 25 here crates, so it depends on how lucky you get. 4,000 here on the boxes as well. But this tank is definitely overpriced if you look at it from the tank itself. Yes, it does have the ability to side scrape quite nicely because it's a rear mounted turret. And so you can get that gun out just over this front drive wheel and have a pretty nice sharp angle on it. So let's see what else we've got, if anything, in the store. Yeah, that's going to be it, guys. So hopefully this advice was useful, and I hope you guys are having fun out there. Stay safe, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.